Yeah, these dark patterns I'm talking about are on websites where you're trying to get data. So that multi-edit that when he was showing can be really handy when you're trying to clean up some data. But if you can get the data clean straight from the source, like a nice light source, or on the light side of the good side, where over on Wikipedia, where there's some tables, you can, has some pretty awesome HTML parsing built into it, where you just give it the URL where you want it to go, and it will go there and grab the page and pull out all the tables and create data frames out of all of them. So it pulled out, so the world demographics page, you'll get 25 different tables. Then you can, this is Sublime, by the way. So um, there's a lot more plugins I'm going to show you that you can use that make it even more fun for doing stuff like this. One of them is going to display these plots here in a second. So you got these, if you want to get some statistics, so those of you that are data scientists or data people, you can get statistics on all those. So you can find the ones that have a lot of interesting data in them, numerical data, and then you can plot that. If you just take, somehow I messed, oh, there we go. I'm missing a triple. Syntax highlighting went away because I didn't have the triple backtick. But and so then you can take that that data, that table you found, that middle table, the 1 out of 25. Then you can create the countries from out of that, and then you can put the X ticks to indicate those countries. I didn't do a very good job of sizing the frame, but you get the picture. But this isn't so interesting because the series are by the year, or really the century. And this is population is for in the countries within on the horizontal axis. So having might be a little more intuitive if you did that by century on the horizontal axis, and all you have to do in pandas is transpose it and then plot it again, and you're good to go again. And so it's really, really awesome when you can get into when you're in the light world, where all that data is organized for you in tables that you can just grab just with a URL. But that's not always the case. So there are a lot of dark patterns in the world of public data, surprisingly. You'd think that governments would be the best at giving us good data, but they don't. And it's not always because they're a little bit behind Silicon Valley and us techies who like our data as much. It's also because they're actually quite good at putting out the data that they want to put out, but they're really bad at putting out data that they don't want to come out. Like in Georgia, where Brian Kemp was able to release the entire voter registration rolls to his supporters, but not everyone else. He created a backdoor in their website. So, and then he went in there and purged the rolls of hundreds of thousands of voters in Georgia that were not likely to vote for him. And he was running for that race in which he did that because he was also the Secretary of State. So anyway, it's not because the governments or government officials can't do this. They can do it quite well. They just choose not to. So what I'm talking about is the Secretary of State, and this is in California. I'm sure this is not intentional, or maybe it is, because it creates a market for lawyers to go in and do business search. So what I was doing is, we're thinking about creating a nonprofit. And so we're looking at names like Wallfacer from the Three Body Problem, or Wallfacer AI, or maybe Possum for positive sum game, for pro-social AI sort of company for a nonprofit. But anyway, and so we want to find out if that company already exists. And so we want to find all the companies that start with Possum. Well, if you do this with pandas and you go in and you get the HTML, it's going to only give you this ... And that's not because the data is hidden by pandas itself. It's hidden behind a button, and this button is what contains that text. So if you want to get deeper, you're going to have to go to Beautiful Soup and actually build a bit of a scraper to go into that column and extract that element that you want. So this just shows you how to do so Wikipedia is cool. You could, this is, I'm not sure how this got stuck in here, but if you wanted to find like the Hugo Awards for sci-fi novels, like that one I was talking about for Three Body Problem, you can get that quite easily. You can even get the search results, which then you can go through and grab the particular result that's likely to be the table, have the tables you're looking for. But this gets back, so this is using Beautiful Soup to do that. So you sometimes have to do it even on the light side. But then in order to grab the one that has that that page that you're looking for that table on. But let's move on to the dark side. And so if you want to grab that column that has these buttons with the and you want to get the contents out of there. So you're going to go through each row in the table, and you're going to find for each row, you're going to look for this button, and then you're going to grab the contents of that button, and then that's going to give you these strings. So you first you need to find all the rows with the TR attributes. And then you can, and then with each row, you can find the button. And then with each button, you can find the text that goes in that button. And there you go. And so these are the kinds of companies in California that start with POS for positive sum game. And there's a lot more of them. I've just shown a few here. And you can then go use it further to paginate through them all, or you can add that to the table of all the other stuff like the registration ID, etc. All this was done for you in your handy dandy Sublime editor, which has, as Winnie showed you, lots of other plugins. And the one I'm using here to display images within the Markdown is this one. It's just doing the syntax highlighting and the Markdown. So Markdown editing, I think, is doing the syntax highlighting, and this Markdown images is then loading the images from that path. So I could actually change those images. We can go and do some plots and actually change those images live over there in the command line. Any questions before I break everything by trying to do it all again live in the editor in the Python console?
You were looking for Possum. Did you try say, I want a specific name, and check to see if that specific name was in the company database?
So so that's another thing about the government websites. You have to do a business name search, and the search is very limited in the ways you can do a search. They don't do full text search. So what they say is it starts with, or can, I think it starts with is the only search you can do on a partial string. I'm not 100% sure of that, but yeah, it's pretty limited. And so we could only do a starts with. But yes, you could do starts with Possum, or you can do an exact match, or you can do a Possum. And the exact match has to include the comma and the ink. So you can imagine how hard that is, and that's why you usually have to hire a lawyer to go in there and who has probably downloaded the database using something like this, and then can search it with full text, because the government of California doesn't seem to want to make it easy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, was just say, this is what I want. Is there an exact match? And if there is, you get it. And if there isn't, then like you say, you got to get a lawyer to look it up.
Yeah, so that works great, but then the lawyer is going to say, well, that doesn't guarantee that somebody's not going to complain, because your name might be a very similar business to a similar name. That you know, if it's McDonald's with a Z instead of an S, you're not going to probably get away with that. And so yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you can search for those exact matches, and they do provide that ability, but it's also handy to do something a little bit more flexible by scraping. And this general approach will work on any data anywhere. You can't hide from Beautiful Soup. See if I can get, here we go. Where are the tables? There they go. This will just so you can see how fast it is to actually get the do the scrape. So it got 25 tables in a few seconds, and then we can do the plots. So that this just grabbed that plot and did the plot in less than a second, saved it to that figure, and then that's what's being plotted. So let's grab a different one and see if the plot looks any different. Actually, I know that one I think is a similar table. I think there's a duplicate of some of the sticks. Oops. Oh, there's no numeric data in that one, so you can't do a plot. Let's try another one. Oh, well, anyway, I'll just go back to the one and change the file name so you can so I can demonstrate the little Sublime plugin. Now I'll go over to Sublime plugin and change this to -2 and go -save, and there it is. It uploaded it, updated it. Any other questions? Cool.
Very cool.